Welcome back. We are now joined by State Senator Christopher Kip Bateman from the 16th Legislative District. Good to see you, Senator.
Nice to see you, Steve.
So let me ask you, we actually interviewed Governor Murphy today. We're taping on the 22nd of September. He made the case for the Millionaires Tax. He said it is necessary, needed, particularly in these very difficult times, and those dollars need to go to other critically important state needs. You say?
I say no. I think it's a mistake. I think especially during these difficult times. And, you know, for millionaires, it's easy for many of them to relocate. And, you know, New Jersey has the largest exodus in any state in the country. And, you know, you're just pushing more millionaires out. And, you know, we should really be taking a hard look at reforms and cutting. I mean, it doesn't make any sense during these difficult times. Now we're going to have the highest corporate business tax and the highest tax rate. I mean, out of any state in the country, we're not going to, it's very difficult to attract business for individuals to come to New Jersey. So I think it's a mistake.
Let's talk a little bit more about, excuse me, this budget. The governor, through the Supreme Court in the state, won the right to borrow a significant amount of money. The governor made the case, and the Supreme Court agreed with it, that these are extraordinary times in the age of COVID. The state has lost billions of dollars in revenue, and this borrowing is necessary, you say?
Well, some borrowing is necessary, but unfortunately, he's not borrowing for the COVID-19. A lot of it, and actually the legislature increased it by $500 million. He wanted to borrow $4 billion. The legislature, the majority, wants to borrow $4.5 billion. And there's a lot of pork in this budget, Steve. I don't know if you have an opportunity to review it, but there's a lot of pork. And so I think that—
Define pork. I mean, I know what I think you mean waste. Make a case.
Well, waste, but they have $15 million for debris clearance in Camden. They got $150,000 for Thomas Memorial. They got $300,000 or $100,000 for Metuchen Trade Commission. I'm sorry, the Shade Tree Commission. $250 for Union County reservoir dredging. There's a lot of money, a lot of pork in this budget, and it's not going to the people who really need it in these difficult times. And so he's gone beyond what the Supreme Court has said. And you know, I understand necessary borrowing because of it, but he didn't have to do that. And you know what? They're not recognizing the OLS revenues. And you know,
the Office of Legislative Services, who verifies the revenue figures, and the governor's office has their own set of figures.
They do, and this is not uncommon with governors, but
they don't match up.
Right, they never match up. But you know, he's got $300 million surplus. It's good to have a surplus, but right now these small businesses are dying. Restaurants are dying around New Jersey. We should be helping them, not putting money in pork. And so, you know, I'm all for it. If you absolutely need to bond for, you know, businesses and whatnot during these difficult times, it's fine. But you know, the numbers don't add up, and you know, I think that they're using this budget for a re-election budget next year. And you know, the whole thing about giving $500 back, I mean, you know, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Hold on, Senator, you're saying that those rebate checks that will begin next summer, in the summer of 2021, up to, I believe, $500, if I'm not mistaken, if people qualify for it based on their income. You're saying the governor just told me, the Senate President, Steve Sweeney, just told me in a series of interviews that they were doing it to provide some tax relief, and you're calling it a gimmick.
I'm calling it a gimmick. And actually, Steve, I have a history here. My dad lost the 1977 gubernatorial election because of the rebate checks. In 77, they sent out a rebate check 1 week before the primary. Governor Byrne won. They sent out the second check 1 week before the November election. And the day before the election, they sent out the forms for the following years. It cost my dad the election. So it's a gimmick. And if you want to give them $500 and do it up front, don't send it out, you know, election year. The entire legislature is up next year, as well as the governor. And it's a gimmick. It really is.
By the way, if people want to know who Kip is referring to, Senator Bateman is referring to Ray Bateman, an extraordinary public servant in the state of New Jersey who ran for governor, who was a leader in the Senate for many, many years, respected by members both sides of the aisle. Google Senator Ray Bateman. Let me pick this up. You're talking about voting, Senator Bateman. You have been very critical of the whole mail-in voting initiative. You say, look, it doesn't make sense. This is the wrong way to go. And you're concerned about election fraud. The governor said, not the case. We need to do this for public safety in the age of this pandemic, you say.
Well, the mailbox is not the ballot box. And, I find it somewhat hypocritical. He allows individuals to stand in motor vehicle commission lines every day, a few feet apart, but we can't go into a private voting poll and pull the vote lever. I think it's a mistake. And I think that it's subject to fraud. And I just read last week that they found a bunch of ballots from the primary that they hadn't counted. I mean, I don't trust the mail system at all. I just think that it sets up the possibility for fraud because individuals who are still on the rolls, who might have died, who have moved away, they're being ballot sent to that address. And so I think that, it just kind of welcomes fraud. And I'm very concerned. It's part of our democracy to be able to go and vote in person.
But at the same time, Senator, you raise certain issues. People can decide for themselves. There have been cases of fraud. They've been prosecuted for the most part, as we know. The studies that I've seen say that voter fraud is not pervasive. But the president, as we speak, President Trump has said, it's rigged. It's a hoax. It's all set up for Biden to win, for me to lose. And this mail-in balloting thing is a scam. You don't go that far.
No, I don't go that far. I don't. I just think, and I've seen in my experience where there has been, voter fraud. Some have been prosecuted, some haven't. But I mean, I know that ballots have been sent to addresses where individuals had moved or they had passed away, and those individuals have ended up voting. So it's, the volume is too much. And, what happens to the ones that are mailed and aren't there in time? I mean, I just think that it just, a democracy is based on most people participating in. The more people participate, the better. I just think that this is difficult, and a lot of people are very concerned.
One more quick question on this before I let it go. Some have argued that if President Trump does lose this election, he will reluctantly, if not at all, be willing to leave office. Do you believe that?
I'm concerned about that, Steve. I really am. And I worry about what's going to happen in the next 40 some days between now and the election and what happens after the election. And, our democracy, in the past, we've had, peaceful
transitions.
And, I hope that happens, but I'm concerned. I mean, and
regardless of who wins.
Regardless of who wins. And, now with the whole issue of the Supreme Court, it's going to be probably one of the most interesting and most important elections of our lifetime.
Senator Kip Bateman, Christopher Kip Bateman from the 16th Legislative District. I'm not going to editorialize because it's not my job, but your dad was always somebody who worked with people, regardless of party, to try to get things done, was not a hardcore partisan, and neither are you. And we appreciate you joining us and always answering questions directly. And wish you and your family all the best in these challenging times. Thank you, Senator.
Steve, thank you very much. Stay well.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, the New Jersey Education Association, New Jersey Sharing Network, New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, Clean Energy Program, Operating Engineers, Local 825, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, Berkeley College, and by IBEW Local 102. Promotional support provided by NJ On Air and by Jaffe Communications.
I could feel my lungs fill with oxygen, and I got my life back.
The Sharing Network means to me hope, life, and everything.
The Sharing Network was a lifeline to me when I really needed it.
We are an organ procurement organization.
The core purpose of the New Jersey Sharing Network is to save and enhance lives.
To honor those who gave.
Pay tribute to those who received.
Offer hope to those who continue to wait.
And remember the lives lost while waiting.
For the gift of life.